Hello, everyone. So today's video live stream is going to be about being autistic and proud, and about the importance of things like autism acceptance. Uh, so essentially, what better way to start this stream than by saying I'm proud that I'm autistic? I found that the more I've accepted my autism, the more I like myself. Um, oh, Jeannie, you stopped your Sims games to be a part of this? I am so flattered. It takes a lot for me to be able to stop playing Sims. It is very addictive. Um, but yeah, is hi Blake. Hi Transit Prodigy. Um, but yeah, is although I was diagnosed at 17, I didn't really start like accepting and knowing what it meant to be autistic until I was sort of 30 or about there. So, only a few years now. Um, so this was just something sort of new. And as I said, the more I learned and accepted my autism, the more I liked myself. I've never like I've always had low self-esteem. I always have. But it's just sort of with accepting and realizing this is part of who I am. I'm no longer embarrassed by my stimming or my meltdowns or my special interests. You know, with this, I finally like who I am. It really helped with my self esteem. It made me look at the transit prodigy. MS means multiple sclerosis. Um, but yeah, is I started looking at my autism in sort of a positive light, seeing what are the positives, and learn to be proud of those positives. Like I'm proud of my empathetic nature, as well as the way I'm able to sort of um, compartmentalize my thoughts. I'm proud of my straightforward thinking and my lack of a desire to fit in. I could see past the surface level of a situation or a person and look deeper into what's going on or who that person is. Sometimes I can even just sort of emotionally detach myself from a situation, sort of shut my empathy off to look at something from a purely logical perspective. I can point at these parts of my personality and go, see that? That's my autism. So many people focus on the negatives brought about by autism that we ourselves as autistics have trouble seeing the positives. Is we all we see is like, oh, I have this bad part of autism and this bad part of autism, and but we never look at the good side. um However, we can look at certain traits, certain autistic traits, and see them in a positive light, and others will see it sort of in a negative light. Like some of my autistic traits that I see as positives are sometimes seen as negatives by others. My high levels of empathy, people see as me caring too much. Like, I remember there was this article I saw recently. Studies show autistics care too much. And it's just sort of like, okay, so first we're told that we have no empathy, and now we're being told that we care too much. It's like, we can't win. It's one or the other. It's like, oh, you don't care enough. Oh, now you care too much. It's like, oh my gosh. But in situations where, like I said, I can just sort of shut my empathy off and see things sort of logically, I'm seen as like heartless and cold. Um, my straightforward thinking can lead to straightforward speaking, which will cause me to be fairly blunt. And I've had people call me rude. Just sort of, I see myself as just sort of getting to the point, and others will see me as just being plain rude. Um, Sort of my lack of a desire to fit in, that led me to endless bullying in school and even bullying in my adult life. You know, people don't like it when you don't conform. These aspects of my autism that I've learned to love about myself have been frowned upon by others, which I think is part of the reason why it took me so long to like myself. I'm 34, and it took, only recently have I been able to look at myself and say, yeah, I like this person. However, it's like when I started accepting my autism, accepting these parts of me, my self-esteem improved. Um, I'm so glad you could feel nice in this group. I'm I don't know, I'm just trying to make such, like, I try to make sort of a wholesome community. And I'm glad you can feel nice in this group. I'm really glad. That makes me happy. Um Now, like with me accepting my autism helping me improve my self-esteem, is this going to be same for everyone? I doubt it. There's never a one size fits all solution to any situation. But perhaps it would be easier for us to be proud of ourselves and our autism if we saw how our autism helps us. Personal story. This happened, um, oh, hey, I just got an email. Hey, Nick, thanks. I just saw, um, I will message you later, Nick. A Patreon thing happened. Uh, um, but yeah, so personal story happened, like 14, 13 years ago. Um, there was a time that I was living in this townhouse with 3 other people, and it was a terrible living situation. I won't go into too much detail, but needless to say, I spent a lot of time hiding in my bedroom. My bedroom was in the basement, and everyone else's bedrooms were on the 3rd floor, so it was easy to avoid everyone, but every encounter with my roommates was so extremely stressful. Eventually, my brain basically just went, screw this noise, we're losing ourselves in Digimon. And just like that, my life became Digimon. It was Digimon Adventure 02. The one where the original kids were in high school and the new kids came in. Well, new except for Hikari and Takaru, or Kari and TK if you want to go with the English names. I grew up watching Digimon. the horrible English 4Kids dub. And if you've only watched the 4Kids version, then please watch like the original Japanese with subtitles or something, because the original 4Kids dub was terrible. Transit Prodigy, everybody in the stream is beautiful. I agree. But yeah. Every time, but yeah, anyways, back to the story. Anytime something bad happened because of my living, situation, it's like my brain would take that situation, like take the memory of it, put it in a box, put the box in the back of my brain in storage. It's not that I would forget about it, it's just I wouldn't focus on it, and just fill that place where that memory had been with Digimon. So this is, what my autism did. This was because of my autism. It's because of my autism and Digimon that I was able to survive that situation as well as I did. Now when I moved out of my of that townhouse, I still had to recover from it. There was still like the whole, oh my gosh, if I fall asleep and wake up, am I going to wake up in that bad situation again? But it took about a month for me to get over that fear. Tropical Shores, I love, your comics are amazing. Thank you. Oh, Transit Prodigy. Yeah, Kirby and Sonic. They were awesome. 4Kids, still bad dubbing company. But you know what? Kirby and Sonic were awesome. But yeah. Seriously, with that town, oh my gosh. With my roommates in that townhouse, if my mom wasn't such a sweet person, I'm pretty sure she would have tried to kick all of their asses. She was so upset. She was so angry, but she knew I couldn't get out of the situation right then. I was in a lease and everything, but got out of the situation. I'm much better now. So that's my personal story of how, like, my autism helped me through a really bad situation. Oh, bye, Willow. You'll be able to watch it when it goes public. So, anyways, every time I do these live streams, I always research the topic I'm going to be discussing. So, with topics like this one or last week's, which was about, like, masking and such, I don't have to do too much research, since this is stuff I've actually personally experienced. But I still do research just to get different people's perspectives and stuff like that. And when researching Autistic and Proud, Kirby, it's the name of the show. You should know. Kirby. He's the star of the show. Okay. I'm getting distracted. So yeah, when, with, researching Autistic and Proud, I came across an article from 2018 about ASAN, or the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, which is an awesome nonprofit. It's for autistics, run by autistics. If anyone asks you, like, oh, Autism Speaks is bad, then who should I donate to? Just tell them ASAN. And basically the headline of this article really says a lot about this movement for autistic acceptance and being autistic and proud. The headline is, Controversial New Movement, Autistic and Proud. A movement centered on us being autistic and proud is being called controversial. apparently accepting who we are and just looking at the positives and being proud um, is now controversial. Transit Prodigy, I also main Kirby in Smash. He's like the character who I don't know, I suck with jumping in Smash, and Kirby's like the only one I was able to get the hang of it. Although I also like playing as Snake. Uh, anyways, sorry, I keep getting distracted, but you know what? Who cares? Anyways, this article, it talks about how Ari Neiman, the founder of Asan, wants the main message from this new movement to be to stop the search for a cure for autism and celebrate autistic people for who we are. And this actually angered some parents of autistic children. Like, I'm not even kidding. As loud as we try to be about being proud of our autism, there's still a lot of people who see autism as something that needs to be cured. That it's something so horrid and shameful that it needs to be gotten rid of. One of the people interviewed for this article is a woman called Christina Chu, who's also part of Asan. She's not autistic, but she has an autistic son. Her son needs a lot of support, but Christina talks about how she tries to understand him on his terms. And I really liked that statement. Instead of trying to fix him, she's trying to do what's best for him. And I've seen this with a lot of amazing parents of autistic kids. Instead of looking at their kid and going, "You're autistic, you must be fixed," they're going, "You're autistic, I want to understand you." As our movement continues to grow, I'm seeing more and more parents coming to the autistic community for advice instead of places like Autism Speaks or blogs run by Autism Moms TM. I add the TM because there's a huge difference between moms of autistic kids who actually respect their kids and actually treat them like people, and Autism Moms TM who see their child's autism as a way to fuel their victim complex. So keep that difference in mind. When I say Autism Moms TM, I'm talking about the anti-vax, pro-ABA, sees themselves as martyrs kind of autism mom. You know, woe is me, my child has autism, pay attention to me. No, don't pay attention to my child, pay attention to me. I remember getting backlash from a picture I did where autism moms were seen as holding autistic people back, and I didn't have enough context, so it looked like I was calling all moms of autistic kids bad. So I just want to be super clear. If you want an amazing example of someone who used to be an autism mom TM but then learned from the autistic community and is now an amazing ally, check out Not an Autism Mom on Twitter. She's actually pretty awesome. She recently did this long Twitter thread about, it's sort of addressing, talking to Autism Moms TM, just sort of telling them how, the autism moms used to be in the driver's seat when it came to autism advocacy, but now it's their turn to be in the passenger seat. It's now autistic people's turn to be in the driver's seat. And it was a really good thread. Anyways, sort of, kind of a tangent, sorry. Anyways, so back to the Autistic and Proud stuff. The Autistic and Proud movement is still getting a lot of pushback. And part of it is from parents who have autistic kids that are non-speaking or need a lot of support and would rather find something to fix their child rather than come to understand their child and find out how to accommodate them. I remember this horrid story, and I'm just going to do a content warning here for child abuse and surgery done on an autistic kid without consent. So, content warning for that. But this one mother claims that her autistic son would scream all the time. She said he screamed like 1,000 times a day. And instead of finding out why he was screaming, she had surgery done on his vocal cords to quote unquote debark him. It's called that because this surgery was originally used for loud dogs. Now, the ethics of debarking dogs is certainly a discussion to be had, but not right now. But yeah, this kid can't scream. His vocal cords still work in every other way, but if this kid is ever attacked or injured or in danger in any way, he can't cry out for help. Instead of helping her child, this woman went for an easy fix and permanently damaged her child. These sorts of people look at autistic people in the autism acceptance movement who don't need as much support and say things like, "You're not low functioning, so you can't speak for my child," but then turn around and get advice from people who aren't even autistic. Not to mention that there are definitely autistic self-advocates who were like their children when they were young, who did need a lot of support, and who may still need a lot of support now. There are non-speaking autistic self-advocates as well. But it doesn't matter to these parents. If you don't see their child as needing a cure for their autism, they won't listen to you. They see their rightful place as in the driver's seat of autism advocacy, because that's where it had always been. And now that we're trying to take that driver's seat, now that we autistic people are trying to speak for ourselves, these people are getting angry. They feel like their voice is being taken away, when in reality, we're just finding our own. On that story of the kid with surgery, I believe the woman had to look for a doctor who would do that surgery, because I think it was like she went through a few doctors who said they wouldn't do it. And I agree. Yeah, people like that don't deserve children. Yeah, it's sort of like, if you're not ready to deal with an autistic child, a disabled child, a gay child, a trans child, you're not ready to have a child. That's basically how I view it. But, for so long, so-called autism advocacy organizations like Autism Speaks have been writing the narrative for what autism is. They put it in the worst possible light. I talked about it in my live stream about Autism Speaks. And I can only assume that part of this is because the more pity they can garner, the more money they can get people to donate. Don't you want to help these pitiful creatures? Then give us your money. I think it's so important that autistic people are working so hard to pull the narrative away from them. Instead of wanting a cure for autism, we want autism acceptance. Awareness isn't enough. Sure, people can be aware that autism exists, but that doesn't mean that they'll treat autistic people with dignity and respect. Like, there are people who are aware that trans people exist, but transphobes and TERFs still exist. One aspect of autism acceptance that I find is so important, that the more that's known about autism and more is done to accommodate those who require accommodations, the easier our lives will become. I've heard some people say that they were denied a diagnosis because they were told that their autistic traits were just symptoms of trauma. But something that I've seen mentioned by other autistic self advocates is the concept that there may not be any non traumatized autistic people. Autism and trauma seem to go hand in hand. But we are, because we're currently living in a world not made for us. We're not accommodated where we need to be. We're not listened to. We're not treated as equals. We're ignored, bullied, harassed, abused. If there are non-traumatized autistics, I sure as heck am not one of them. And that's not, like, I look at my childhood, like, my parents, my family, they were all amazing. They were accommodating, accepting, loving. And yet still, you know, and it's just sort of, it was the world around me that my family couldn't protect me from. It doesn't matter how, supportive the people around you are. We still live in this world, that doesn't accommodate us. Part of why I do what I do is because I want life to be easier for autistics younger than me. Autistics from the younger generations. I don't want them to have to go through what I've gone through. That's such a big part of being an autism self-advocate, at least for me. It's not just about improving things for us now, but for improving things for the future. It's harm prevention. The more autistics are accepted, and the more we're accommodated for, the less trauma the future generations will have to face. Maybe one day there will be plenty of non-traumatized autistics. Who knows? But that's sort of the future I'm fighting for. That most, if not all, autistic advocates are fighting for. Is I've seen plenty of pictures and blogs and stuff from autism advocates who basically saying they're doing this for autistic children because we see what they're going through and we go, oh yeah, I've been through that, but I don't want you to go through that. It's sort of like we want to spread this the knowledge we have to try and just help to make things better. Like, I'm it's why we fight against the Autism Moms TM, because look at what they put their kids through. ABA, there was that whole mineral cure thing that was basically just industrial bleach, and it's like we just want to scream at them to stop. You're hurting your kids. But will they listen to us? Some of them actually. Like, I know in comments I've had people being like, yeah, I used to follow, these Autism Moms TM groups, but then, I started listening to the autistic community and oh my gosh, I've suddenly learned. And the not an autism mom Twitter page, she was saying that, you know, it's that when learning from the autistic community, like there are a lot of hard pills to swallow. You know, just learning that these, yes, yes, don't forget about autism dads TM. Yes. Definitely. It's not just the moms, but that's sort of so often, more often than not, it is the moms. But oh, yeah, there are dads as well. There are definitely dads as well who are autism dads TM. How about I just say autism parents TM? Uh, you know, but essentially what happened was, yeah, what's happening is like these parents, they do harm to their kids, and then the autistic community goes, hey, that's harmful, you know, and they don't want to believe that they did something to harm their child, so they tell us we're lying or we're overreacting. They don't listen to us, they attack us. um but yeah, i I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I want to be able to proudly speak of my autism without changing their view of me the instant they found out I'm autistic, or telling me, but you're more than your autism. You know, I want to be able to be open about who I am without making people feel uncomfortable or feel pity for me. I don't want to be silenced. Because of my amazing friends and family, I'm very rarely silenced when I talk to them about my autism. Um, I've had a couple try though. my Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They're used to talking, not being talked at. Yeah, that's basically it. You. But yeah, my latest comic about being told you're more than your autism was partially based off real events. I had a friend tell me that, you know, you're more than your autism. And I had to explain to them that, yes, I understand that I'm more than my autism. But this is something that I'm proud of, and I'm going to continue to be open about. My friend never brought it up again. And I don't think that I know that they, sorry, that they didn't have any malicious intentions. This person is very kind and a loving person, and but I think that they were just used to autistic people not often talking about their autism. So they may have thought that I was seeing my autism as the only important part of me. Um, when in reality, I just like talking about it. You know. Sorry. I was just reading the comments and I completely lost my train of thought. Do 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 do. Um, like so, this friend honestly, like, I let them know, I understand, but and they understood. I honestly feel like they fully understood what I was trying to say, but um, it's not the people in real life that are trying to silence me. It's the people online. I may encounter more offline people who want to silence me when I move back to Canada and have to actually deal with people who aren't in my social group. But until then, my loudest critics are online. I've been told that I'm just a child who doesn't understand how the world works. even though I'm 34. Oh, this person went on and on and on. They like did like paragraphs. Honestly, it made me laugh. I've been told to censor my language, being told that calling us autistic is not PC. It's like, no, you should say person with autism. And while there are people who prefer being called a person with autism, I'm going to use the term autistic when talking about myself or the community at large. So, and it's sort of like when you tell an autistic person, no, don't call yourself that. It's like bye, Nick. Yeah, I'll be messaging you later. But yeah, I've been, don't tell me how to address myself, how to label myself. That's my choice. Oh geez, yeah. um, oh geez. I've also been told that I deserve to die. That was fun. I have a friend who is like, once you get death threats, you know you've made it. But yeah, that person was going around to a lot of, this was on DeviantArt, and this person was going through and just bullying and harassing autistic creators and making fairly offensive art. So I just reported them to DeviantArt, and next day they didn't have an account anymore. I've been told to shut up because I don't speak for the entire autistic community, which I never claimed that I did. I've been told that I'm pathetic and that my parents don't actually love me because I'm autistic, and that they just sort of tolerate me in my autism because that's what they're supposed to do as parents, which, like, you don't know my parents. Also, one of my parents is autistic. I know that some of these were just from trolls. I understand that. But some of these were genuine. Some of the messages from these people were emotional. They were angry. They were real. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few of these trolls myself on DeviantArt. Yeah. Like, I get probably the most criticism I get is on Instagram, but the most vitriol I get is from DeviantArt. It's weird. But yeah. These these people who sent these messages, like, these people were legitimately upset with me. They see me making my comic and being a self-advocate as a bad thing, and it honestly confuses me. I understand that not everyone is going to like my comic for one reason or another, and that's totally fine. Different folk, different taste. I'm okay with getting criticism so long as the criticism has nothing to do with my autism. But there are some people who will see my work as harmful. They see my ideas as wrong. I've seen a lot of pushback against, like, the hashtag actually autistic. The most famous pushbacker being William Shatner. My goodness gracious. That man is a tire fire. I remember reading this one Twitter thread he did about ranting about how the hashtag actually autistic was very exclusionary, and it was like segregating the community. I'm just like, my goodness, we just wanted a place, like a hashtag to use to be like, hey, I'm actually an autistic person. I just want to, when I say something about autism, I just want to show that it's like this comes from personal experience. And it's like, there are those who see this hashtag as a problem. They see autistic people speaking for themselves as a problem. I know for some people it's an issue of no one speaks for my child but me. The kind of person who gets offended by the very idea that someone might know what's best for the child better than them. I wonder if that's part of the problem. You know? Is it mostly just a bunch of parents who believe that they know what's best for their child more than anyone else? It would explain why so many of them are anti-vaxxers. They think they know more than their doctor. So, I've been talking a lot and haven't really gone into why being autistic and proud is such a good thing. For starters, autistic is a way better label than a lot of the labels I got growing up. I got called a lot of nasty things because of my different behavior, and I'm sure a lot of you called a lot of nasty things too. Before I got diagnosed, I didn't know why I acted that way, but I do now. The label of autistic, it's an answer. It feels so validating. It tells me that there's nothing wrong with me, that I'm not broken. Instead of asking myself, why am I like this? I can just say, I'm like this because I'm me. It's a way of telling myself, this is why you do these things. And that's okay. It's fine. You're allowed to feel these things and act this way without feeling shame. And another reason is that the more proud I've gotten about being autistic, the more open I've been about being autistic. And the more open we are about being autistic, the more stereotypes we can break down. Anna Meanie, totally insane, Inky and the Brainy. Yeah, I've been watching the new Animaniacs. You guys are really good at distracting me. It's amazing. It is a talent you all have. I'm so proud of you. But yeah, there's still a lot of stigma behind the diagnosis of autism. But we can change that. We can show just how much of a spectrum autism is. We can show the world that we have empathy, that we have senses of humor, that we can be good partners and good parents. There are autistics in every profession who've gone through every walk of life. We can destroy the stigmas and the stereotypes surrounding autism. This can also really help people who have been denied a diagnosis or been misdiagnosed because they didn't fit in the rigid view that some doctors have of autism. It can also help with, putting people, like autistic people who need a lot of support, who are non-speaking, instead of seeing them as burdens of society, we can show, like, no, these people are people. Treat them as such. Oh.
When it comes to treating them as burdens or not of society, it's been a very eye-opening experience here teaching in China, because in North America, generally, there is the attitude of find a way to provide the extra assistance needed on a case-by-case basis for someone who has a situation like autism so that they can achieve as best as they can. Yeah, I know, doesn't always work out that way, but that's generally considered the goal. Having been here, having been teaching, it still is one of those things that is seen as shameful and the teachers aren't told. Like, I have spent weeks in classrooms with kids that are like, wait a second, there's something a little bit not quite right with this situation. What's going on here? And then I find out through roundabout ways that, oh, This kid has a hearing aid that they've been hiding under their hair for the last 2 months. Or this kid clearly is on the spectrum, but since nobody addresses it, there is nothing I can actually do to assist with it because I'm trying to piecemeal it from the beginning. So it's the same sort of idea. It's not being acknowledged, and I am literally seeing the way it is not helping them and it's harming them, much in the same way as when it gets ignored, it's not helping. It's to ignore it is not helpful, and it's interesting watching this slow evolution come through because I have spoken to multiple kids, including one who definitely was on the spectrum, and one of the big goals a lot of these kids have is they want to go into psychology to be able to bring this new learning, new understanding of mental conditions to China and get them promoted. Like these kids in high school are wanting this. They're the ones pushing for it, and it's incredibly hopeful. It's just incredible. But the change is coming from them, not from the parents. And again, I know that's probably something everybody knows and expects in the world, but it's just, I'm seeing that shift here, and I'm seeing what happens when people do not get that support, like firsthand. And it's often not a whole lot that's needed to support them for their full success. I mean, for one girl, it was literally, hey, find a chance to get things quiet for them. Do a little bit, goes a long way.
Thank you. Always good to have a different perspective. But yeah. Another thing with the importance of being autistic and proud, I feel that the more autistic adults there are speaking about, our childhoods and our lives, the more hope we can give. Many parents want a cure for their autistic child because the thought that their child can be fixed, gives them hope. They automatically think that their child is, because their child is autistic, that they'll never achieve anything, that they'll forever have the mind of a toddler, whether or not that child is a toddler. I find that a lot of parents are like, oh my gosh, my child will never achieve anything, and the child's like 2. Like, calm down, it's okay. They think that people like me will never understand because I can speak most of the time and I don't need as much support as their child. But there are non-speaking autistic adults who are amazing people, who've led fulfilling lives. There are autistics who require more support, who are amazing people and have lived fulfilling lives. We can show them that the kind of person their child could become, even if they never speak a word in their life, we can give them hope that their child can have a fulfilling life. And lastly, the more autistic people who are openly proud of being autistic, the more people we have to help spread autism acceptance. My hope is that the more autism is accepted, the less people will want to try and get rid of it with cures and harmful therapies. I'm hoping that those sorts of things, like I'm hoping ABA goes the way of gay conversion therapy, where it's illegal in many countries. I would love to see ABA become illegal. The less money and resources going into finding a cure for autism and into ABA, the more we can put into things that actually help us. The more autism is accepted, hopefully the less trauma we have to face. The more people accept autism, the more willing they'll be able to learn about it. And the more they're willing to learn about it, the more they'll be able to accommodate us. We already have some grocery stores that, at least before the pandemic, had specific hours where they dim the lights and turn off the music to accommodate autistic shoppers. The easier it is to live in a society, the better for everyone. Yes, and that can put Autism Speaks out of business forever. Yes, that would be awesome. Just to get them out of the way. Um, yeah, it's just sort of learning how we can show these people, like, oh my gosh, there's so much time and resources eaten up by people trying to like figure out what causes autism instead of finding ways of helping us or answering the questions we want to know. I'd love to know why so many autistic people have intestinal issues, but no one's researching that. Or why, is, up to 6% of the trans community is autistic. That is like way, sorry, no, not 6%. Why trans people are 6 times more likely to be autistic than cis people. I'd love to know why. Not to change it. As a non-binary person, I don't want people to change me. But I'd like to know why. It's just sort of, there's so many things where it's just like, there's so much we could learn about autism. Yes, well, Fenos, we are coming for that puzzle piece. But yeah, it's just sort of like, there's so much we can learn about autism. And it just, we're not learning about it because we're not the ones running the show right now. The ones running the show don't want to learn about autism. They want to learn about what causes it, how can we fix it, all that. Oh geez, that whole trying to find out if a fetus will be autistic. Oh goodness gracious, that is such a hot button topic. Like, Shimmer, yeah, a lot of ace and arrow people are autistic too. Yeah, and there's a lot of ace and aerophobia going around. People saying that they don't belong in the LGBTQ plus community. Just
rage at that.
Yes, rage. um, and it's there's so much more we can do. So we're gonna keep at it. I am, and probably a lot of other autistic self-advocates. The battle rages on. So anyways, I would like to take this time to, of course, thank my patrons. I would like to thank my dad, as always. Thank you for the support in both financially and just in my life. And of course, I'd like to thank Dominic for $10 patron, as well as they're not here anymore, but I think but Nick. I wanted to talk to Nick. What I was talking about before is Nick is now a $10 patron. So big shout out to Nick, who on my list right here is, the third lowest on the $5 patron. Okay. His name is now going to be part of the $10 patron. But yes, thank you to all of my patrons. I really, really appreciate this. It's just sort of, it blows my mind and just makes me feel so happy that, you see my work as something worth giving money to. Again, I believe I have linked to my Patreon in the description. Only give if you want to and if you can afford it. Uh, but yeah. Oh, right. I hope you've been liking my Flashback Fridays. They haven't been on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, I'm so sorry. Um, um, but yeah, I post the Flashback Fridays on Facebook, on Tumblr, and on Twitter. It's just sort of to put it on Instagram, I have to like reformat and everything, and just sort of I didn't feel like going through that whole debacle. I'll do it for all the new ones, but with the remaking, I'm just putting it. So Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter. If you want to see my Flashback Fridays, follow me there. Of course, just autobiographical comics, easy fun. But yeah, my latest one, which was just sort of talking about, oh, you're feeling overwhelmed from a social situation because, of your autism. We'll just say you have a migraine. People understand. You get out of there. Finding out in the comments that even that doesn't work sometimes. There are people with chronic migraines who are like, yeah, that doesn't work, trust me. And I'm like, oof. Learning new things every day. I'm just thinking like, I have a friend who has chronic migraines. Back when I lived in the same town as her, friends would want to go out and she'd be like, no, I have a migraine, I can't. And all of us just like, yeah, we get it. So I don't know, I guess that's my ignorance. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody is just like, oh, you have a migraine? Okay, I get it. But yeah, I'm so sorry to those people who, with chronic migraines who don't get the support and accommodations that they need. But yeah, the Flashback Fridays are going to be going on for a long, long time. So it's just sort of, I have so many that need to be remade, and I'm only posting one a month. A month? Oh my goodness, no. A week, and there's a lot. So it'll probably be going on for around 3 years. It's just sort of like I was remaking them already, and someone on Twitter was saying like, why don't you repost them so we can share them, because and I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. So I did. I don't remember who said that, but thank you, whoever you are. All right, I thank you all for coming. I know the chat kind of got carried away with talking about other stuff, but you know what? That's fine. I had fun chatting about Kirby. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for just listening to me ramble. Well, it's less rambly now that I've started actually like writing scripts. Although my scripts keep on getting longer and longer because I find like I have to. It's like I'll be halfway through the script and it's like 15 minutes will have passed and I'm like, So they keep getting longer and longer and longer. I will find the right length one day. Anyways, thank you so much. You're welcome, Dominic. You're all so amazing. Thank you for, it's always the same people showing up, and I appreciate you all so much. You're all amazing and beautiful and wonderful. All right. So I'll see you next weekend.